Hi. Today's video is probably going to be the simplest one I show you yet, but the one that very few people cook. We're going to make stock. I'm going to use an InstantPot. You can use a stovetop pot. The only difference is this will take about an hour and a half to 2 hours, whereas if you used a stovetop pot, it would probably take about a day. So if you were going to do this dish, we're making beef stock. If you were going to do this dish without a stovetop, without an InstantPot, you would want to take your beef knuckles, or as I'm using, oxtail, and put them in the oven and roast them for about an hour with a little bit of olive oil and salt on them. Instead, we're going to use the Saute feature of our InstantPot. Now, this is a very inaccessible InstantPot. I have to memorize exactly which button is which. I don't have the Bluetooth or the wireless version of this. We're waiting for a newer model to come out that will have Wi-Fi on it. But for now, I've memorized the only two buttons I ever use. So I'm going to start with the Saute, which is the bottom right-hand button on this machine. And I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil in the bottom of the pan. And that sound tells you that it is on and picked its setting. And it takes a while to get up to temperature. Just going to grab a knife here and cut into my shrunk wrap package of oxtail. You want a very bony piece of beef for beef broth. Almost every single step of this can be repeated for other meats. Chicken stock is very different. We use old chicken, leftover roast chicken and stuff like that, and I'll do another video of that at another day. So now I'm just going to take my oxtails and throw them into the pot. To describe these to the blind viewers, they are literally round tubes that I'm just going to squeeze them out of the pan here, that have a bone in the middle. All right, so we're just going to let those heat up a little bit. So the reason we use oxtail is because it has a lot of bone with some very tasty meat around it. Very little meat, but some very tasty meat. And there's a lot of collagen in these because of the bone marrow. And the bone marrow will leak out into our stock and make a very rich stock. So I'm just tossing these around a little bit right now, getting them brown. And the smell coming off of these things is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. I'm going to just take 2 pinches of salt, sprinkling them around. Take the first pinch, stir these up. And I'll take another pinch, just 2. You don't want to over season when you're doing the stock, because you might want to use these in a dish that don't need that much seasoning. So you're just doing the basic stock at this point. And there's a dog standing behind me that is incredibly interested in this smell. He's not getting any. So here you see our meat, and it's browning. It's going to take a little bit of time to brown, because again, this pan does not get as hot as, say, if I was doing this on a cast iron pan. But I want you to look into this pot and see that we're getting some really nice caramelization already. And we're getting some, if I run my spoon around the bottom of this pot, you're getting a little bit of char in there. And that's okay, because that's going to be flavor for later. So I want you to notice the sound this is making. Previously we had a very solid sizzle, and now we've got a very different kind of crackle and sizzle going on at the same time. As I turn the pieces over, the pieces that have not been browned are touching the bottom of the pot. Because I wanted to show the whole process is why I browned these in the InstantPot today. So I tend to prefer using this after I roast it in the oven. It actually gets a more even, crisper coat on it than in the InstantPot. I find it just doesn't brown as evenly. And then what I'll do is I'll take some of the fluid I'm using and rinse the bottom of the pan that I roast them in to get those nice, lovely, crunchy bits that are at the bottom of the pot right now. All right, so I think these are brown enough. So here I have my InstantPot basket. You can do this in the pot loose, but it makes it harder later on to strain everything out and get just the broth and the leftover meat. So I'm just going to put the vegetables I'm going to use in the bottom of the basket here. I've got 3 carrots. I'm just putting them in the bottom like this. And an onion. And I have some bay leaves here. And again, when I use a bay leaf, I try and blister it and just squeeze it around in my hands, make little cracks in it to get the essential oils out of the bay leaf. And this is from my garden. And now I'm just going to take the pieces of meat out of the pot here, grabbing them just by hand because they're slippery, and put them into my basket. Come here. They're very slippery. Trying to grab them from the top surface because the bottom surface is very hot. All right. I'm going to get some tongs. All right, so you're going to want to make sure to hold the basket over the pot because this is going to drip a little bit. And so I'm just grabbing my tongs here and pulling out these smaller pieces of meat that are really, really hot. So I'm just grabbing the smaller pieces here, and I am now going to turn my InstantPot off because we don't want that nice caramelized skin at the bottom of the pot there. One last one there. All right, so I've just lifted my basket up here. It's full, and there's a bunch of lovely brown crustiness into the bottom of the pot there. See that? Just beautiful. I've turned my InstantPot off. I'm putting the basket down in with all of our lovely beef chunks, and we're going to start with our liquid. So the first part of our liquid is some leftover red wine. Ah, lovely. Doesn't that sound fantastic? That red wine has got some really nice acid in it. That acid will tenderize and draw out more flavor from the bones we have in there. And now I'm going to set my InstantPot to soup. And it comes on as a pressure cooker now, and it will have 80 minutes once it reaches the top setting, the top heat setting for soup. So I'm just going to get more stock now, more water. All right, so now I've got the wine in there. I'm going to pour some more water in there. And we're going to want to make sure that all those bones are below the level of the water. You can really smell the wine already starting to heat up, and the browned meat is just delicious. We're going to need a little bit more water. All right, so here's my second drinking glass full of water. And we're going to want to try and almost cover the bones. Not completely, but we're going to make sure that as much of those bones is under the water as possible. I'm rearranging them a bit in the pot here so that that can happen a little better. And you don't have to have it fully covered, but you want it almost covered. As those vegetables soften up and as the bones start to soften up from the cooking process, they will all collapse into the water. We're still going to need more water though, because we still have a very hard surface at the top. drinking glass number 3. And from the feel of this, we need 1 more drinking glass. And I'm certain that this is going to be our last glass worth. Number 4. Yes, so there we go. We have almost to the top of the pot. You don't want it going higher than the basket, so this is going to be where we stop. The water level is maybe a 3/4 of an inch below the top surface of the basket. So now, the magic begins. Now the magic begins. I'm going to put our InstantPot lid on. And these are somewhat tricky to put on. You have to line them up properly and spin. And it started beeping there and doing a countdown as soon as I put the lid on. And you twist it to line up the handles. We've got a venting valve here that is pointing towards seal. And we're just going to come back now when this thing beeps. It's going to have pressure for 80 minutes, and then I'm going to let it sit after it's finished for another 30 to 40 minutes to let it literally gelatinize and get the steam pressure down. Also make it safer to open the pot. We'll see you when this is done, and I'll show you our final result. All right, so we're now finished our stock. This went off about an hour ago or so. So now I'm gonna pull the lid off for the very first time. And here we have our lovely stock. You'll see that the meat sunk down quite a bit. Not completely under the fluid, but close enough. And I'm just going to pick up the basket here. Let it drip. And I'm going to pull a bowl in underneath here, lifting up high enough because I don't want any of that lovely liquid to be wasted. I'm just going to put the bowl down. And now you can look into our pot here and you'll see this lovely, rich, dark broth. It's really flavorful. It's quite delicious. I hope you make this. I hope you enjoy it. Let me know what you cook with it. We're going to make probably French onion soup with it. That will be another video. Please click subscribe. Let us know what you think. And we'll see you next time.